Radium, the radioactive element that was discovered in 1898 by Marie and Pierre Curie. They found it in pitchblende, an ore that had been extracted from the earth. But to people in the early 1900s, radium seemed almost otherworldly because of how it behaved. It glowed in the dark all by itself, no flame or battery needed. It gave off constant heat without burning any fuel, and it could even penetrate through solid materials. Some even called it a new Promethean gift that could replace coal, oil, and gas. What if there was a way to harness this mysterious power to make all our lights glow and all our machines run forever? A kind of eternal fire that could banish the darkness and fuel our modern world. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work out that way. Today, we know that radium is radioactive. It's releasing energy as it spontaneously decays into other elements. Much of that energy appears as various kinds of radiation, but some of it is carried by particles that bump into atoms and molecules and give them extra energy, which appears as heat. But even though radium seems magical, let's bring it back down to real science here. 1 gram of radium releases about 0.1 watt of power. Now, you may have noticed that your computer's power cord typically says something like 150 watts on it, and that's for something relatively small. A typical house might use thousands of watts at a time. So to power a light bulb with radium, you would need about 600 grams of it, enough to coat the tip of your finger. And to power a house, you would need thousands of grams, perhaps tons of this glowing radium. The Earth only contains about 16 tons of radium in total, not exactly a limitless power source. Plus, radium is also extremely dangerous. Breathing in even small amounts can cause severe lung damage. And the famous radium girls who painted watch dials with it often wound up with horrible bone diseases. So yeah, it's incredibly cool that such a thing exists. But as a power source, it's not very practical. Sorry, Mr. Promethean. And yet somehow the idea of radium as a free energy source keeps popping up in weird places. It was just over a decade after its discovery that people started proposing radium fireplaces, glowing heat sources that didn't require fuel. There was even a company in the late 1920s that tried to sell radium engines where the radiation would heat air or water, which would then spin a steam turbine. But these were similarly dangerous, impossible to manufacture, and far too expensive. Radium was sold as a medical tonic, a health food that could cure anything, from acne to cancer. You could buy radium lamps or water that had been infused with it, little glowing bottles of radium water, and many believed that this was the fuel of the future. That was until they started getting sick from it. Eventually, it was found that radium could cause jaw necrosis when people would put it in their mouths. The radium water was killing people, so the glowing miracle substance was eventually banned. But by that point, the idea of radium as an energy source had already seeped into popular culture. It appears in fiction like The Hunger Games and Supernatural, and even inspired the creation of the fictional element in Kingdom Hearts. Even though radium is clearly not a free energy source, the fact that it gives off light and heat when exposed to air led some to believe that it actually could be. After all, what's coming out of it looks like fire. But it doesn't go out, so it must be free energy, right? Now, unfortunately, those same people will always exist, and even though the radium craze died out before the internet, there are still plenty of old patents floating around for things like radium engines and free energy devices powered by radium. And because it's still radioactive, it still gives off that eerie glow. So in some ways, it really is like magic fire. Just because something looks like fire or produces heat doesn't mean it has actually a good energy source. Sometimes it's just glowing poison. So thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe to see more.